This short video will demonstrate some techniques for researching the U.S. Supreme Court's historic state tax decision in South Dakota versus Wayfair, as well as its aftermath. First, a little background is in order. In June 2018, the Supreme Court handed down this landmark decision in the field of state tax sales. Until Wayfair, an out-of-state seller, including an e-seller, had to have a physical presence, either an office, warehouse, or other facility, within a given state before that state could require the seller to collect sales tax from an in-state purchaser. With Wayfair, that physical presence requirement is now abolished. Since 45 states imposed sales tax and internet sales in 2018 were $517 billion, up 15% from 2017, states have a lot to gain by now requiring so-called remote sellers to collect and remit sales tax from purchasers. Let's look at the practical guidance practical note devoted to the 2018 Wayfair decision. Using the search box at the top, type Wayfair and click on the magnifying glass. Next, click on the first hit, South Dakota versus Wayfair overturns the decades-old physical presence standard. This detailed practice note is divided into two parts. The first is an overview of the Wayfair decision. Part 2 is composed of commentaries by 3 Lexis experts on state and local tax. First is Charles Swinson, general editor of the 2-volume Matthew Bender treatise, Bender's State Taxation, Principles and Practice, and a professor at USC School of Business. The other commentaries are written by Carolyn Krantz, a SALT specialist with her own law firm in Washington and author of the treatise Lexis State Tax Guide on Digital Content and Cloud Services. Finally, commentator Mark Muntian is a tax attorney in the San Francisco Bay Area and also the upkeep author for the Matthew Bender treatise Ballantyne and Sterling, California Corporate Laws. Now, what about its aftermath? Specifically, which states have responded to Wayfair by enacting legislation or taking other steps to require out-of-state sellers lacking physical presence to begin collecting sales tax in those states? To make your life and tax research easier, we have built a handy chart, which we've added to practical guidance. It monitors the states that have taken action, extending the Wayfair decision to their own jurisdictions. Type in Wayfair once again. As you'll see, beginning with Alabama, our chart lists each state, plus the District of Columbia. Alongside each jurisdiction, the chart tells you the nexus standard in effect within that jurisdiction for purposes of state sales and use tax. For example, in Alabama, the state has reminded out-of-state sellers lacking physical presence but making significant sales into the state and having an economic presence that they are required to collect and remit sales tax on sales made in the state. Next, the chart spells out the administrative, collection, and remittance responsibilities imposed on remote sellers by that state. Third, and finally, the chart will indicate if there is some minimum threshold level to be met by remote sellers making in-state transactions. For example, Alabama law requires remote sellers to collect taxes if they have gross receipts of at least $250,000. As you can see throughout the chart, we have also inserted live linkage to underlying legal authority supporting the rules summarized in the chart. These are typically state statutory sections, but can also include, for example, citations to announcements from state revenue departments.